Kia ora, Legionnaires, Rycon here, and welcome to a brand new RimWorld series. As some of you are well aware, RimWorld recently introduced a brand new DLC, RimWorld Biotech, introducing xenotypes which allow us to have colonists that come from different bloodlines. Not only that, but it allows our colonists to make smaller versions of themselves through procreation. But what we are going to be focusing in on in this series is a very specific xenotype, that of the Sanguophage. Sanguophages are a type of archotech-enhanced xenohuman. Powered by archites, their abilities go far beyond normal genetic enhancements. They are mentally adept and preternaturally beautiful. In combat, they can launch deadly spines and heal injured friends. They don't age or die naturally and never suffer from disease or poison. A sanguophage can make a new sanguophage by reimplanting their own xenogerm into a person. Sanguophages must regularly consume hemogen derived from human blood, and they must periodically death rest for long periods. They're easily destroyed by fire, and they're slowed down by UV light. The first sanguophage appeared thousands of years ago when a group of explorers sought to control a hyper-intelligence archotech and instead found themselves transformed by it. Among these explorers, there was a first, and it is from that first that every sanguophage is descended. Since then, sanguophages have often been hunted because of their destabilizing power and their need for blood. But since they can pass for baseliners, regular humans, many live among typical humans. Their true numbers are unknown. Some think they are legends or rare irrelevancies. Some believe sanguophages secretly direct entire human civilizations. The stories speak of eternal lords ruling billions from slate-black space stations, or directing blood sacrifices at conferences in the underlayers of the deepest herb worlds. But for us, our story begins on Yildan Octus, a small RimWorld. With only one main continent, it's a relatively crowded place, and it is in the northwestern corner of this continent, in the Gove mountain range, that our colonists awake from a long slumber. They awake in an ancient crater after falling from the sky. Their number is 3, and they are unfamiliar to this world. Lilion, Jonathan, and Edith hail from a world not too unlike our own, from a township called Hexham, and from a fortification known to the surrounding settlements as Cannibal Keep. Yes, the story of these 3 souls begins back in Going Medieval, but don't worry, if you haven't seen the series, you won't be missing out on too much lore. Yet how did these 3 find themselves here, out of time, on a far-flung RimWorld? Well, back on their homeworld, they survived the great plagues that ravaged it by consuming the blood, the flesh of those weaker than them. And an ancient, watchful mind took an interest in their practices. The 3 would-be sanguophages were whisked away, each of them experimented on for great lengths, before finally one of them emerged as a true sanguophage. Lilion, Bavent. They remember little of their time among the stars, yet their minds are now filled with thoughts, ideas, technology far beyond their own. They awake here, not without guidance though. Lilion has a goal. The blood must flow, and so it shall. The ideologian is in its infancy, but it is here that the blood of Bavent shall be founded. Right now, their main meme consists of psychic vampirism. Power must and can only be gained in one way, and that is from others. Their deity is the Great Sire, the progenitor of the blood that shared theirs with Lilion. And there isn't too much else going on in the precepts yet. This is a fluid, ideology that will be expanding over time. But there are a few relics from their old world that they would like to try and recover. I have, to the best of my ability, attempted to recreate these characters in RimWorld as true to their original forms in Going Medieval as possible. So, where traits could be passed over, they were. And I've got their skills to reflect what their skills looked like previously. And if you would like to join me here on Yulda Noctis, you can find the world settings that I have used here. And as for mods in this series, they are very, very lightweight. There are a few visual improvements and a handful of quality of life mods. This fantastic collection has been put together by Mr. Samuel Streamer, and the link to that collection you'll be able to find in the description below. But yes, it is here, in the Gove range, that our story will begin. There is a lot of work to do, a lot of stone to be chipped out. To the south here, that is where our home is going to be. And yeah, there's a lot to dig out. Thankfully though, they're relatively good at doing this. They've done it once before after all. And as far as this map goes, we have one main entrance over here. There may be others that we are currently unaware of. We are aware of a cave network up here that has, some cave alpacas. And we have some velociraptors just chilling outside of there. Deeper in the cave, we do have, a cave squirrel, but also we have bugs. That is something that we're going to have to contend with throughout this playthrough, as we are going to be living underground. And for the first wee while, they're probably not going to enjoy living underground all that much, but with our ideology being fluid, we are going to have some precepts that assist with living in the deep and the dark. But time is going to be rolling on by, racing on by even, as we uncover our home in the stone. Most of the 2 first bedrooms have been uncovered. We will need at least 3 bedrooms, unless romance blossoms, which I hope it does. It's convenient after all. Well, our first event. We have a visitor. Jess Spence is visiting from the Southern Holler Pact. Having a look at Jess here, we don't have anything jumping out at us. I mean, you are just a visitor after all, and I suppose it would be good for us to not make immediate enemies with our neighbors. We aren't so hungry just yet. Let's not forget that these 3 are cannibals. Each of them, they very much like to consume the flesh of the living. It's just Lilion, for now, that likes to consume the blood as well. So Jess, maybe don't linger here, although you are dual-wielding battle axes, so you might be able to handle yourself okay. Looking at our map here, we are mostly surrounded by enemies. We have the poison gang over here with the choke abattoir, aptly named. We have Fash Ellen, Shelkside, interesting, also very, very hostile. And Weewo, which is Pow Pow Square, yet another mouthful, yet another enemy. Over here in the Purple Tooth Swamp, we have the Empire of Eternity. That is the Imperial faction that we have here on this continent. And then, there we go, Southern Holler Pact. Look at that. Our first room is complete, and this room is going to be more of a stockpile than anything. And Jonathan, I know it's been hard going. We'll have you a nice, comfortable place to sleep real soon. Just go and relax. Unwind a little. And we've got our first trader from the Ergo tribe. They're a bulk goods trader as well. We won't have much to trade them at this stage, but I'll still be interested to see what they've got in store for us. And they're making the wise decision to stay outside for now. Edith, I hate to wake you up this late, but go have a chat with Ape. So, I wouldn't be against us just picking up some pemmican for now. It isn't human meat, but it's still meat, and hey, they've got human leather. We might have like-minded people among them. We'll just go with 50 pemmican to start with. And none of the animals are to my liking, so we'll just stick with that for now. Our silver is yet to be put in a stockpile. Okay. Oh boy, and just looking up here, yeah, looks like the alpacas have been slaughtered by the local wildlife, so we won't be taming them anytime soon, but we might still be able to make use of their remains. That is something that we do need to keep in mind. Corpses now will actually pollute the area around them, so we really don't want to let them stack up. And are we popular? More visitors, a group from the Ergo tribe, and they have more things to trade with us. But really, it's just more pemmican, which we don't need. Oh boy. Okay. Velociraptor's getting violent out here. And yeah, it wasn't long for this world. We'll finish it off and we'll be sure to butcher it once we have our butcher station all set up there. The visitors are leaving, the trade caravan is still here, and there were no deaths. Oh, apart from maybe this poor pig. Oh dear, Edith, what were you doing in here, and why? Insect jelly? Could have been. Looks like we're going to need to set up some zones for you. How about you just make your way back here now? You should be safe enough to do so. And let's have a look at those wounds. Just a simple cut. But I wouldn't mind trying out Lilion's ability here to coagulate and seal those wounds with her own blood. It does mean that she's going to go and drink one of the blood packs that's there. Yum. But that means that Edith can just get straight back to whatever it is she's doing. Oh, you're trying to get to the body. Yeah, no, let's just forbid that. Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good. And already, we need a name. Well, the settlement name is easy enough. It shall be Hexham once again. I actually kind of like the option of League, and so we're going to go with League of Bavent, with Lilion leading them all. Now that we have most of this set up and ready, we are going to start to mine into here. This is going to be our temple, and it's also going to be where Lilion can death rest. That's something that we'll get to in just a little bit. Oh, and these areas here where we still have compacted steel, we are going to be mining that away and replacing it with just regular walls. In fact, most of this is going to be replaced with regular walls. We have had a transport pod crash down, a cougar named Sinner. Alright, Sinner? Bleeding out in an hour. Okay, Lilion, can you get there in time? If we need to speed her up, we can use the long jump, but I think she's going to get there just fine. And once we are there, we're going to look at coagulating this cougar. There we go, 3 wounds tended, pretty much instantaneously. So now, we want to try and keep this thing alive, and we can probably set up a spot for it in here somewhere. Yeah, in Edith's bedroom. That's where it's going to go. So we'll say to rescue Sinner. Once it's recovered, it'll choose whether or not it wants to stay, and if it doesn't want to, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And of course, we have a creepy eclipse going on. Not a problem right now, as we are not really gathering any kind of power from the sun. In actual fact, we don't have any power at all. Yet there are some bits of technology that are still embedded in the minds of Lilion, Jonathan, and Edith. Technology from an unknown source, but more than likely from the great progenitor. Right now, we can chuck down a wind turbine outside. We have the steel, we have the components to do it. We are actually going to need that power for Lilion to be able to death rest. Right now, she's just doing regular old sleeping, but eventually it will be required. We've just had Edith make an excellent steel hatchet for herself, as she was the only one that didn't actually have a weapon. Jonathan has a crossbow that he was able to bring with him, and Lilion has this masterwork steel longsword that came with this starting scenario. Really, the only change that I've done to the starting scenario is adding an extra person. Edith is an add-on. Usually, you just get an additional person to your Sanguophage. And the eclipse has ended as we near completion on our temple. Okay, and some battle animals have wandered in. They're joining our colony. Bears. I'm sorry? Bears? Where? Yup, 2 grizzly bears. Okay, well, I suppose we will try to train them. No one's really gifted when it comes to animals. I think that, yeah, Edith is the closest at being adequate. So that's just going to be an extra job you're going to have to pick up, Edith. For now, we will leave the bears as unnamed creatures until they can really, truly prove themselves. So we are going to be able to put this death rest casket in place. There are a number of things that can go along with it. A hemo pump, a hemogen amplifier, a glucose solid pump, a psycho fluid pump, death rest accelerator, and there's a pollution pump. But that's for dealing with other things, pollution, like the body that we have over there. And now that we are putting this down, we are going to need some form of power. We could go for the windmill outside, or alternatively, we could just try and run off like a wood-fired generator for when we need it. Because right now, this just works as it is. It's somewhere for Lillian to sleep. It doesn't necessarily have to be a death rest yet. Ha! And Cinna has decided to join us. A good decision, Cinna. A cougar on our side. We're going to make sure that you get training as well, and yeah, we're going to need a decent stockpile of meat. Thankfully, we have 102, but it's going to spoil real soon, so maybe, Edith, let's focus on doing some training. That's a situation that I'm hoping to rectify by putting in an overwall cooler. Yeah, we are going to have hot air going into this space, but I'd like to get that to just filter out to everywhere else in this. We are going to have to start smoothing these surfaces, as that will allow us to run cables through them, but we'll see if we can get the temple finished first. And just like that, the temple is fully mined out, so we can start to put down our ideological artifacts, and I would like to try and make them out of marble if we can. And Edith is already on that. Excellent, Edith. So, of course, we have our blood altar, which we'll just go ahead and place around about there for now. We are going to need some pews too. 2 will more than suffice for now. Oh, I just got notification that one of our bears is pregnant. I didn't realize that it was a breeding pair of grizzlies. That's some very good news, but we are going to have to really try and keep these 2 fed. There is still some wild game on the map that they can hunt should they get really hungry, but we will be working on other options as well. There are some growing zones that have been plopped down where we are going to get a number of things in the ground. Even though we are cannibals, we are still going to need the utility that plants can bring. A deep space miner named Henny is in a crashing transport pod nearby. Henny is suffering from paralytic abrasion and will be unable to walk. He will recover naturally after many days. There's also a chance of a lucky quick recovery. He is willing to contribute once he has recovered, but will not leave voluntarily. If we don't want him, we can banish him, sell him, or all of those things. He is up here and... Oh, I see. You're from a enemy faction. Let's have a look at you, a closer look at you. The mining already looks really good. You're a delicate brawler. Oh, poor Henny. Poor Henny. But you've got, decent melee skills going on there. I think we could make something out of you. Let's accept Henny, huh? Well, a name like Henny isn't going to do. We are going to need a new name, and we also are going to need somewhere to keep you. Okay, all right, after randomizing that list of patrons, we have Ben. Henny, you're now Benny, aka Ben. Now that paralytic abrasion is going to keep Ben, bedridden for a decent while. We want to make sure that we keep a close eye on him. So you know what, for the time being, before we have a hospital up and running, the hallway will do just fine. And we'll send Jonathan up there to rescue you before you get eaten by a wolf or a velociraptor or something worse. And we've just had a granlin tree sprout on up. We'll harvest it for now, but I think it'll probably be a little while before we get that planted. Oh boy, that's the trouble. Jonathan is being hunted by an Arctic wolf, but thankfully Lillian is much closer. So Lillian, let's try and see if we can intercept. Oh, we most certainly can, kind of. Jonathan, we'll actually just get you to hold your ground. You've got your crossbow there, and we might have to do a long jump. Let's use some of that blood. Okay, it's actually slower than running right now. And that's purely just because things are sped up a fair amount outside of combat. But now things should be a little bit Yeah, fairer. Jonathan, just keep running. Let's jump again. There we are. Oh, straight on it. Good job, Lilion. And you actually hit there. Good job, Jonathan. The creature is down, and you know what? How about you go and finish it off? As for Lilion, what's that wound like? Just a bruise to your left leg. Okay, you know what? We'll allow you to self-tend should you feel like you need to. An exotic goods trader. We've been very lucky with all of our events thus far. As we are on Randy Random, we're playing on losing is fun. I'm sure things will heat up before too long. And plus, I don't plan on losing. Famous last words. I know. So they are selling many fantastical items, including some donkeys. Yeah, I think we're just going to hold on to our silver for now. We can see serums over here that can be injected into individuals. Although, if all goes well, we'll be able to get death rest on the rest as Edith spreads that blood. But perhaps more importantly, we have an ambushed knight. Paelkus Puskus, a knight of the Empire of Eternity, is calling from nearby. Not sure how he's calling right now, perhaps into the minds of our colonists, but his guards were killed in an ambush. He escaped, but he's now being followed by a man-hunting raccoon. He wants us to try and keep him safe at Hexham for a few hours, and that will give honor to one of our three. We're going to accept that, and we are, of course, going to accept that for Lilion. All right. Rush on over here before that man-hunting raccoon gets close. And of course, we have the added protection of the trade caravan here too. I think we'll be fine. Oh, yep, it's here. It is here. Where are you? There you are. I think that Lilion should be able to handle this just by herself, but we'll send Edith out as well. Paelkus, do you have a weapon at all? No weapon, I see. But you do have Word of Joy. You know what? Can you go and use that on our sleeping friend Ben? Oh, he's asleep. Of course. Well, it looks like they're about to throw down. Lilion is going to be making the first strike, and excellent. Done. How's that wound looking? She'll recover. And of course, that's all that we need to do for that quest. Our Knight's shuttle is going to arrive in, well, very, very soon. We should see it pop in just a moment here. Oh, and it's just dropping right down. Okay, how about you go and jump in that and head off? That's it. Freeholder title gained. Lilion is now a yeoman. Now, for us to accept that, there are a few things that I think we need to do first. Or maybe not. No, doesn't look like we need to. Let's get that psi level now. And very quickly, another shuttle has arrived. Okay, and it's just going to be happening in here. Let us begin the bestowing ceremony. Oh, expected quality is not great. I'm sure it'll be fine. Nikiko, so you are the bestower here, huh? It's nearly complete. You know what? It was honorable. Somehow it was honorable. Well, you are now a yeoman of the Empire, Lilion, and that does mean that she will have additional psi powers. The first one that you've got is Pain Block. Block pain pathways in the target's brain for a short time. So, I feel like casting that on yourself as the wildly powerful melee character that you are will make quite the difference. Arctic Wolves, yet again. Oh, and it's very close. Okay, this is going to be nasty. Jonathan, we're going to get you moving back inside and... Oh, okay. Well, that started a little faster than I thought it was going to. Lilion, well done. Let's make sure that we get that finished off. And tend yourself without medicine. It's not that bad of a wound. Even without medicine, with how fast she heals, it's really no problem at all. Yeah, see, fully healed already. There we go. It's still filled with marble chunks, but it is a temple, and it's a temple that we are going to be able to start to put some roles in place. That first role, of course, is going to be Lilion as our keeper of the blood. Gathering around, Lilion explains how she will use her hopes and dreams to overcome her obstacles. And well, isn't that interesting? Hopeless drifters, 3 desperate refugees, including a child. Oh dear. are approaching. They are looking for somewhere to stay for 14 days so that they can rest and regroup. Okay, they offer to work and fight for free. Now that is far too tempting. If things go wrong, we can make use of them. We shall accept. And yeah, 3 of them, Alf, Azalea, and Zoe. Zoe is only 5 years old, the first kid that I've seen in RimWorld. And yeah, we are most certainly going to be able to make use of them. And hey, we've got a Keeper of the Blood. Lilion is now our fully fledged leader. And while we're all here, Edith, you shall become our Sanguinator. So, back into the temple, everyone. Oh, and yes, welcome, you 3. This is a totally normal, not to be concerned with practice. There we go, a successful role change. Edith has just completed a visage mask for us, something that we're going to get onto Lilion right away. This is the visage of the great progenitor. Now, Lilion does also have some pretty serious disfigurement. It's something that's carried on over from her traits in going medieval, and that's reflected by the staggeringly ugly thing that we got here. But also, she is pretty, so they nearly kind of cancel each other out. Pretty, of course, coming from being a sanguophage. But nevertheless, as the keeper of the blood, the visage supposedly resembles the one that the blood first came from. Oh, and how lovely. We've got an aurora outside. And things are looking up for us. Edith is throwing a little bit of a party. For now, Jonathan and Eden are the ones that are hanging out in here. Oh, Azalea has joined now. Zoe is busy off doing other things and Lilion is meditating. But she's been able to join too. Good. Alpha's just angrily smoothing a wall for us. Interesting. We've got 2 things going on here. Hidden Mechanator Complex. That's an interesting one. And obviously an animal flu. Our grizzly bear, or at least one of them, is not feeling so hot. And right now, it's not so much of a problem, but we're probably going to need to spend some medicine on it. So we will need some more animal sleeping spots. There we go. We'll make sure that you get some proper treatment. Well, a turkey called John. Sorry, John. Yeah. Hard luck. And now some thrombos have wandered into the mix. We do get some really quite interesting animals, like woolly mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses. Rhinoceroses. There, we got there in the end. And it looks like we're having our very first harvest here. Alf, how are you when it comes to plants? You're passionate, but you're not great at it. So we might end up losing some. But you know what? Many hands do make light work. Oh, really? Really? Betrayal. The refugees who asked to stay with you are turning against you. It seems they had treachery planned all along. And here we were, being kind. Zoe, the 6-year-old kid, decided to start this by attacking our grizzly bear who was suffering from the flu. Yeah. Alf is in here, no doubt going to try and slit Ben's throat. And Azalea, well, this knives out, huh? I think Zoe is currently taken care of, so let's go and strike down Azalea. As for Jonathan, ready yourself. Edith, same thing for you. You know what, Edith? Take care of the kid. Or maybe the bear will. Oh, yeah, looks like the bear did. Okay. You destroyed my bloody torch. Well, that's just frustrating. Oh, yeah, no. We got them. And you're not going to be fleeing. Jonathan, move in. Lilion, you got that one down. Alf, we're going for you as well. Oh, you started a fire in there. Really? Really? How kind. How kind. Our bears are attacking as well. Oh, so good. So good. Deal with that fire. Put it out right away, thank you. None of that. And now, now, we unfortunately have a kid that is going to bleed out very, very quickly. Azalea, 4 hours, and Alf, 6 hours. Zoe, I'm sorry that you were brought into this, but you had betrayal in your heart too. These two, I think, might just survive. We're going to be moving this bed out into the hallway again. That is going to be for Ben. For the other two, well, we're going to turn this into something of a prison. Yeah, Zoe, 7 seconds. Ain't going to happen. That grizzly bear was nasty. Well, it's going to cost a little bit, but we're going to coagulate Edith here, just so that wound can get taken care of quickly. And Lillian is going to try and see if she can keep these two alive. She's resting now after drinking some of the hemogen. And Jonathan's going to do some pretty dark work. They are cannibals, after all. And it seems that they will have their first meal. And it is with that betrayal that we will be ending our first episode here in Hexham. Lillian rests and recovers as the new and improved Cannibal Keep is slowly pieced together. There is much they will have to learn if they are to survive in this strange new world. But something tells me they have what it takes. They were chosen, after all, by a higher power, by the progenitor chosen by the blood. And first blood has been drawn. We must harden ourselves. And so we shall. For now, I ask you all, if you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a comment or a like to let me know if you enjoyed the show. And while you're here, if you have any suggestions, any advice for this strange new expansion, I'm all ears. This is my first experience with it all. But hey, learning is also half the fun, isn't it? So no doubt I will make some mistakes along the way. And so, for now, I have been Rycon. You have all been awesome. And until next time, stay tuned. And finally, I would like to thank the Legion on Patreon who continue to make this cannibalistic content possible.